I didn't see you come in. Have a seat. Yes, it's nice to meet you. My name is Helen Downey. Yes, I am one of the executive producers for this project. Well, first off, congratulations on securing the role of Cassandra. It's a very important role. You should be very proud. So I called you here today to go over the contract. So if we can, to get it signed today, and then to iron out any travel details. Did you have a chance to look over the copy of the contract that I gave you at your audition? Good. Did you have enough time to go over it with your lawyer? Oh, you don't have a lawyer? Did you go over it with your agent? You don't have an agent. No, it's no problem. Now, why don't I go through the contract with you today, and if you have any questions, we can discuss it before you sign, okay? Wonderful. Okay, so this is our standard actor's contract. It's a copy of the same contract I gave you. Okay, so this first page here has a statement saying that you agree to play the part of Cassandra in the film Forbidden Affair. It notes here that this is a working title and that the final name of the film may change. Okay, the next statement says that you agree to be available to work during the filming period, which is generally known throughout the contract as the filming period or shoot. So when you see shoot, it means the general period will be filming. And you'll see the dates here. So these are the dates that you will agree to be available to work. Are you okay with those dates? Good. Any conflicts at all? No? Good. It also notes that working days will not last longer than 10 hours. Our director's really good at staying under 10 hours. In fact, most times you'll probably get out in 8. You will be given at least 24 hours notice if you are needed on set the next day. Right. Well, if you're not needed, then you can relax. You still get paid for the day. Yep. Sure. So the next portion is about the location. As we mentioned at the audition, the filming will take place in London, England. We'll be on location, and we'll also work some in the studio, which is also based in London. Have you ever been to London before? Oh, well, it's a wonderful city. Yeah, I think you'll really like it. So this statement just says that you agree to travel to and from these locations. Yes, don't worry, all your travel expenses will be paid for. If there's anything you do pay out of pocket, like a cab ride, something like that, just submit receipts and we will reimburse you. We'll discuss all the details of the travel in a moment. So the next portion is about salary. So this is the agreed upon salary. You'll be paid this amount each day of the shoot, okay? Again, regardless if you're called on set or not. Yes, it is a handsome sum, isn't it? Well, you're a very important character, so you're compensated accordingly. Now, this salary does not include any per diem you will receive. Well, per diem? Well, per diem is basically extra cash. Yep, it's extra cash that's given to you for just general spending money or any incidentals that you'll have during the shooting period. Yeah, so there'll be a specific person that will come around and will give you the per diem. With me so far? Okay. So the next is talking about general food and refreshments, just stating that the producer will provide actors with food and refreshments during these periods when your presence is required on the film. So when you're on set, there'll be plenty of food and refreshments available during all meal times and in between for snacks. If there's something there that you don't see that you need, or if you have any dietary requirements, please let one of us know. Okay? You can also always ask a PA. That's production assistant. Yep, they can run and get you a cup of coffee or get you anything that you need. For example, if you want something delivered to your trailer. Yes, you will have your own trailer. You'll be able to use the trailer anytime during the shoot. It's a good place for you to hang out when you're not needed on set. Okay, so the next section is more about liability. So we will use our best efforts to ensure your health, safety, and welfare. But if something should happen, we are covered by liability insurance, and you will be covered as well. So if something, God forbid, should happen, and you needed some medical care, all that would be paid for by us. Okay, and then the next section talks about the distribution. So it states that you agree to allow us the right to photograph and video record your image and likeness. And that we will then be able to edit and distribute the film in any way we see fit. Right. It also states that we'll provide you with a copy of the completed project within 21 days after the completion of the project. So once the film is put together and it starts to be distributed, you will receive a copy as well. Okay, and the last section just says that you shall receive a credit in the on-screen film credits, as well as on the Internet Movie Database, or IMDb. Right. So take a look at the contract and let me know if you have any questions. Sure, go ahead and read through it. I can wait. Okay. Do you agree to these terms? Wonderful. Well, please sign here. Okay. Great. So now that we have that out of the way, let's discuss some details. So as the contract stated, we will be filming in London, England. So I have this envelope here. This includes your first class tickets. It will take you from your home location to London. Yes, we use ASMR Airlines. I think you'll really enjoy them. You've never flown first class? Oh, well, it's really wonderful. I think you'll really like it. So once you fly to London, and there is some information in the envelope that tells you about the time that you should arrive. We will then have a driver and a car waiting for you at Heathrow Airport. They will pick you up and they'll drive you to the hotel. So this is information about the hotel. And we booked you a suite on the 25th floor. Has a lovely view. Now the hotel is top-notch, 5-star hotel. It has an amazing Italian restaurant called Ciao Bella. I highly recommend it. It also has a really relaxing spa, so if you want to take advantage of any of the spa treatments, I would encourage you to do so. Now we'll provide you some information in your room on basic sightseeing in London during your stay. We'll also send you the portion of the script that you'll be needing for the next day's shoot, at least 12 hours before you're needed on set. Now, scripts are known to change periodically throughout the shoot, but we'll try to give you ample notice when the script does change. Right, so that you have enough time to memorize. So when it's time to come on location, we will have a car be sent to pick you up. They'll pick you up at the hotel and deliver you on set. And as I mentioned, you will be given a trailer so that you can relax there between shoots. Well, a typical day starts fairly early. We usually send cars to pick you up around 7 a.m. to get you on location by 8. If you're filming not on location but in the studio, it might be a little bit of a later call, maybe 7:30. So when you arrive on set, you can grab a bite to eat at catering, and then we'll send you to hair and makeup. That's right, they'll do your hair, they'll do your makeup. They would have already talked to the director or the assistant director and would have been notified in terms of what they want, right, what they're shooting that day. You might have to go to hair or makeup several times if the scene has changed, but don't worry, someone will be there to direct you. After you finish doing your hair and makeup, they will dress you in your costume or your wardrobe, and then you'll be directed to wait in your trailer until they're ready for you on set. Now, usually you'll have a production assistant or a PA who will come to your trailer and call you when you're needed. And then once you're on set, you just do your magic. Yep, like I said, this director is really nice, really good at guiding new actors, so I know you're going to do fine. If you'd like to learn a little bit more information about the film itself, we do have the assistant director in the next room if you'd like to talk to her. Sure. Yeah, let me go get her for you. I'll be right back. Hey, Jenny. Hi. Can you maybe go over a little bit about the story with her? Okay, great. Hey, sure. Yeah, Jenny, our assistant director, will be happy to meet with you. So if you just go right next door and just knock on the door, she'll be happy to help. Okay, well, it was wonderful to meet you. Yes, best of luck. If you have any questions about the contract, anything to do with the finances, or just general questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Yes, my business card is in your envelope. Great. Well, have a wonderful day. I'm sure I'll be seeing you again on set. Okay. Bye-bye. Hello. Hi. Yes, I'm Jenny. I'm the assistant director on this project. How are you doing today? Yeah? Are you excited to be starring in your first feature film? I understand if you're a little nervous. Yeah, there's nothing to be nervous about. I was there at your audition. You did wonderful. You're exactly what we're looking for. Well, go ahead, have a seat. So, what would you like to talk about? Sure, I can go over to the plot with you. Yeah, I guess we never really did discuss generally what the director's vision is. So let me kind of go through. We're actually working on some preliminary storyboards. So if you'd like, I can take you through the storyboards and talk a little bit about the plot and kind of what we're thinking about or envisioning your character to be. Does that sound good? Okay, great. So let me go ahead and I will bring the storyboards up and go through the story with you. Okay, so this is the storyboard for the film Forbidden Fair. It takes place in the late medieval, early Renaissance period. Here we have our main character, Césaire. Césaire is an artist. His work mainly comes from doing portraits for the royalty and for any rich citizens in Florence, where he lives. Césaire greatly enjoys being an artist, very creative, but also very impulsive. Césaire's best friend is Cassandra, who you will be playing. Cassandra and Césaire grew up together in a poorer area of Italy and moved to Florence as young adults. Cassandra is a barmaid who works at a local tavern. There'll be many scenes together between Césaire and Cassandra talking. It will be very subtle throughout the film, but there is an unspoken attraction between the two that tends to grow in each scene. But towards the beginning, we'll find that they have a very easy, friendly relationship. And so here we might have a dialogue about Césaire wanting more, feeling like he can accomplish more than just painting portraits. At some point in their conversation, Cassandra will have to leave as she's meeting her lover, who is a businessman. Césaire is not very happy about that, as he's not a big fan of her lover, who has yet to be cast, yet to be named. So we'll just refer to him as that. But Cassandra says something in terms of, she doesn't have many choices. It's hard being a poor barmaid in this day and age. She doesn't have a skill like Césaire does in terms of being an artist. So she has to find somebody that can support her. And in this case, this is all that she can find. We don't really have too much of that back and forth, but it's implied. So as we move on in the story, we find that Césaire is walking in the town and comes across a beautiful maiden. Her name is Elena, and she is walking with her chaperone. Césaire is very charming and talks about how beautiful Elena is, that he would love to do her portrait. But before he could talk any further with her, her chaperone interrupts and whisks her away. Césaire is overcome by the beauty of this maiden and tells Cassandra how infatuated he is with her, and that he plans to go to her father's castle and get permission to paint her portrait. Cassandra is a little skeptical, is afraid that Césaire will get in trouble because he tends to act first without thinking. Throughout some of these scenes, we will see a young man sort of in the background, who is Cassandra's brother. He doesn't say much. He tends to just watch. Césaire doesn't listen to Cassandra and decides that night to go to one of the king's party, kind of crashing it, sneaking in, so to speak. And while he's there, he tries to speak with Elena, but unfortunately, Prince Robert, who is courting Elena, seems to always monopolize the conversation and her attention. Still, Césaire is not fooled that easily, or deterred that easily, so he finds an audience with the king and very boldly says that he would love to paint his daughter's portrait. Surprisingly, the king agrees. As Césaire and Elena spend some time together, they eventually find themselves in her bedroom and start a little romance. One day, Césaire is walking and sees Cassandra crying in an alleyway. We haven't finalized the script, but something to do with her lover being rather cruel to her, saying something mean, maybe even becoming abusive. We will see as the story progresses. But whatever the case, Cassandra and Césaire have a really good talk about love. Césaire goes on and on about how he is in love with this woman, and that when you are in love, all you think about is that person, that you could be in a crowded room and you only have eyes for them. And we start to see that Cassandra only has eyes for Césaire, and that she's actually very much in love with him, but she is too scared to say anything. Again, most of this is very subtle, so on your part, it's going to take a lot of subtle acting, seeing the hurt and the love in your eyes, the longing that you have for this person, but not being able to express it because you're afraid of losing him, and because he is so excited about this beautiful, rich princess. As the story progresses, we find that Césaire is caught and is swiftly thrown out of the castle and told never to return. He goes to Cassandra and talks about it. Cassandra warns him he should stay away, or else he'll get into more trouble. He tries to convince Césaire, that if he continues to pursue Elena, he will get his heart broken. Cassandra believes that Elena doesn't really love him the way that he should be loved. Césaire says something to the fact of, "How would you know?" Cassandra says something like, "I know. I care for you." Almost kind of declaring her love in a way. She says that he doesn't see what's right in front of him, the people that really do care. But Césaire doesn't want to listen. He's blind to that fact. And so Cassandra leaves. Césaire decides to approach Elena as she's walking in the courtyard and professes his love and says that they could run away together and be happy. But Elena rebukes him and says that he was only a fling and that he never really expected that she would run away with him. Did he? She's betrothed to Prince, and that's all there is to it. Césaire is heartbroken and finds himself alone in the tavern where Cassandra usually works. It's at that point that Cassandra's brother, Thomas, appears, who has been sort of in the background this entire time, watching, and is finally putting his foot down and speaking. He tells Césaire what a fool he's been, that Cassandra is his true love, that Cassandra is right now about to be married to that fool of a lover, and that if Césaire doesn't do something, he will lose her forever. Césaire realizes that what Thomas is saying is true, and so he runs to the wedding and tries to stop it. He declares his love for Cassandra and says that if she is willing, that he will try, and that they could make a life together. And she agrees. And as we wrap up the film, we see Elena, with her prince, but not too happy. And we see Césaire taking down the portrait that he painted of her and putting it away, throwing it out in the trash. And Cassandra and Césaire live happily ever after. So that is the general storyboard that we've created for the film Forbidden Affair. Along the way, there may be many changes. So this is just a very early draft. What we know for certain is that while there is somewhat of a love triangle here, that we really want to focus on the relationship between Césaire and Cassandra, growing from sort of a childlike friendship to more mature adults and people that they can lean on, and then eventually turning into love. So I think it's really exciting to kind of see that progression, even if some of the other plot points involving Elena actually start to dwindle or change or go away. We do know that the focus we want to have on this film is actually not so much the affair. That's sort of what people believe they're getting, the traditional boy meets girl, boy can't have girl. We're not necessarily following that story. It's more of a story about realizing what you have and not so much trying to grasp something that you think is going to make you happy, but actually being mindful of what's already in your life that is bringing you joy. How does that sound to you? Good, good. Like I said, we still have a lot of the kinks to work out, and the story may change, but we know that we want your character, Cassandra, to be a very central part of this story, very important part. And as the script progresses, we'll make sure to keep you in the loop and, ask for your feedback as the character begins to develop on camera. So, make this character your own. We were very impressed by what you were doing in your audition. I think that you really do have a grasp of who this person is. Cassandra is a very complex character, living at a time where women didn't have many choices if they weren't rich. And so she's someone who is vulnerable to the fact that she feels she must get married, or else she won't be able to support herself. But in the other instance, she is in love, and while she's afraid to tell him how she really feels, because he sort of has this wandering eye, we know that eventually we do want them to get together, and that while they may go through this struggle because they are, struggling, he's a struggling artist, she's a struggling barmaid, that really, if they have each other and they are in love, then, the old cliche of love will conquer all. So, obviously, this is a romantic drama, and we're rather excited about it, and we're excited that you are going to be a part of it. So that's generally what we're thinking of and what we're envisioning your character to be. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. I know it's a lot to think about, but don't worry, we'll be sharing more information with you soon. We're still in pre-production, so we haven't really finalized anything. And as the shooting goes, sometimes the director will make changes, but again, that will be communicated with you. So just try to relax until it's time for you to travel to London, and if you have questions, feel free to contact me. Now, before you go, if you don't mind, Violet, our costume designer, is here, and she had mentioned that if you had come in today, she wanted to take some measurements so that she can start ordering the costume. Do you have just a few moments to spare? Okay, wonderful. All right, so let me take you to Violet, okay? All right, so just follow me. Well, hello. Yes, I'm Violet. I'm the costume designer. I'm also known as the wardrobe stylist, depending on what people like to say. So if we can, I'd like to go over some costume ideas with you. I have a few ideas of some of the wardrobes that I'd like to purchase, but I just wanted to run them past you to see if they're sort of what you're thinking of as well. I like to get the actor's input because you'll be the one wearing the costume, and it's going to help you get into character, so it's very important that I have your input. Yeah, I think we'll only need two major costumes for you. Since it's sort of a period piece and it takes place in the Renaissance period, your character wouldn't really have many different wardrobes. So I think two costumes will be enough, although I might order extras just in case. Sure, so let's go over some of the costume ideas, and if we can narrow down two wardrobes for you to wear, and then I'll take some measurements so that I can order the right size. Now the measurements won't be perfect, but so if we need to do adjusting, we can do that on the day that you come on set. Right, yeah, a lot of times the costumes are ordered one size fits all. So if they are like that, I will take the measurements so that I can do some tailoring before you come to set. And then I can actually have you put on the costume and do some future alterations. All right, well, let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the barmaid costumes that I have chosen for your character. So as you can see, I have chosen 3 separate costume ideas. And if we can pick 2 of the 3 today to purchase, that would be great. So this first costume is a very subtle looking costume in terms of color. As you can see, there are neutral colors, browns, beige. The cap is more of a sort of chef-like cap. We may not use that cap in the film, but in terms of the outfit itself, I think it's rather suitable. In the Renaissance period, more of the poorer folk did not have very colorful wardrobes. So with the subtlety that this wardrobe has, while also being, a little provocative, a little sexy, I think could work well for your character. So what are you thinking about this costume? Do you like it? Yeah, the material is very light. It's very breathable. Sometimes sets can get quite hot, and I don't think you will be uncomfortable with this one. As you can see, it has a corset that is shown on the outside, and that can be laced up by us. Okay, so let's move on to the next costume idea. So this one also has neutral colors, but as you can see, it also has a green skirt, so it gives you a little bit more color. It comes with a belt and with a laced vest, so instead of the corset, the vest would just be laced up. This gives you a little more breathing room, so it could be a little bit more comfortable in terms of wear. The green color, I think, really will help you pop in terms of not fading into the background. As I said before, your character would have worn neutral tones, but I think we can give your character a little bit of color to help you stand out. After all, you are one of the leads. So, how do you feel about this costume? You like this one? Okay. So, I will go ahead and show you the last costume. So this costume has the most color out of all the 3, and also has a corset. As you can see, it has brown and white coloring with a red skirt and a red cap. In addition to removing the cap in the first costume, we would probably also remove the cap in this one. This one is a little heavier material than the others, and as I said, a little more colorful, but could work just as well. So how do you feel about this one? You're kind of on the fence? Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I think for your character, I am sort of leaning towards the first one and the second one. So since I think we're both on the same page, why don't we move away from this one for now and return to the first 2. Okay? Okay. So looking at this first one again and the second one, I think they both have a similar look to them. They're both equally flattering. I think we will focus on this one for some of the earlier scenes. Yes, in the earlier scenes, Cassandra is a little more reserved, and I think this costume will work well for those purposes. And then for later scenes where she is building up a little more confidence, I think this first costume will work quite well. How do you feel about that? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to do is to take some measurements. Okay, so you can just stand still for me. Okay, can you put your arms out like this? Perfect. All right, I'm just going to measure your chest. Okay. Okay, so that is okay. And just do that again for me. Yep, perfect. All right. I'm going to measure your waist now. Okay, perfect. All right. Next, I am going to get your hips. Okay, so you can just put your arms out like this for me. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Okay. And now before I go down to your legs, I'm actually going to measure the circumference of your head, just in case we need to put any headgear on you. You shouldn't be wearing any hats, but it's always good to have it just in case. So, okay, just put that around your head. Perfect. Okay, and now I'm just going to measure your pant leg. All right, measure your inseam. All right, that looks good. Just write that down. And can you put your wrist out for me? I just want to measure the wrist. We might be giving you some bracelets. Okay. Okay, the other side should be the same. We'll just double check. Perfect. Okay, well, I think I have all the measurements that I need today. So thank you so much for coming in, and I will see you on the day of the shoot. All right, thank you so much. Yes, nice day.